That would be our strong to severe weather threat. Once it sweeps through, we will see a dramatic change. It's still going to be warm. It's going to be very humid out there, but the storms will subside. Our temperatures will drop down to about 70 by tomorrow morning.
And remember, you can track whatever weather comes your way right down to your neighborhood on your desktop or smartphone. Just check out the interactive radar feature in the weather section of WXII12.com. And we'll have more on the weather in a moment, but first, breaking news out of Winston-Salem tonight. Police are investigating a shooting involving one of their own. It happened this afternoon on North Jackson Avenue. Winston-Salem police say the officer, whose name has not been released, was responding to a disturbance call when for some reason he pulled out his weapon and fired. Here's Assistant Police Chief David Clayton, who spoke to WXII 12 News just moments ago.
Right now, the information I'm told that it was a female victim who lived in the area, and she is currently being treated at the hospital. We plan to do a very detailed statement later on. However, right now, that's about all the information that I can release.
Are you going to release?
Again, a woman has been shot by a Winston-Salem police officer. We'll make sure to bring you the latest details on this story as they come into the newsroom. Back to the weather in the Piedmont. Some of you spent the day picking up from what Tuesday night storms left in the Piedmont. Rob Wu has a look at the damage from Guilford County.
Guys, the damage was certainly more concentrated and clustered than it was widespread. For example, most of the Guilford College campus is left unscathed, but here at the athletic field, you see some of the soccer goalposts, a completely wrangled mess. And over here, the caution tape preventing anyone from getting any closer to the softball diamond, the bleachers directly behind home plate, picked up by the wind and tossed forward, now left leaning against the fence and dugout. Just one of several places around town that'll need some cleanup. How about this for a front row seat? The fence, the only thing keeping the bleachers from crashing onto the field. Nicholas Haas had a first-hand look at last night's storm from his mother-in-law's house. Family and friends helping to clean up the debris, including a tree that had stood all throughout his wife's life.
It was so loud and with the hail beating so hard, we didn't even hear it. We were out back looking out, and then my wife came out front. She goes, "The front tree's falling down, the tree's..."
Turning a negative into a positive, Haas plans to chop some of the branches up to use as firewood. Over on Hobbs Road, the cleanup is moving fast. The home narrowed in a great disaster. When a tree fell over onto the street, its branches took out the home's fencing. As of this morning, the energy reports just 5 homes.
And we apologize for the audio in that report. Right now, a major victory for supporters of marriage equality after the Supreme Court ruled the Defense of Marriage Act unconstitutional. The justices also dismissed California's ban on same-sex marriage. Here in the Triad, supporters celebrated a victory many thought they'd never see in their lifetime. Lenny Gerber and Pearl Berlin, a couple for more than 45 years, were married earlier this month in Greensboro. Gerber says she was doubtful the Supreme Court would do the right thing today, while Berlin was more optimistic. Both women watched together as the landmark decisions came down this morning.
I started to scream. I was so excited.
Did you scream?
We couldn't believe it. I said this wasn't supposed to happen. It's supposed to, and I thought maybe I'm still sleeping.
Pastor Ron Beatty of the Berean Baptist Church in Winston-Salem led the fight to pass a ban on gay marriage in North Carolina last year. Pastor Beatty says the gay community is moving forward and has momentum politically, and he says that is bad news for America.
If we abandon God's law, then the end results of that is that God judges the people that abandons his law. So if God's judgment comes down on America because we are abandoning his law, we're all going to be affected by his judgment upon our country.
Members of the LGBTQ community have organized a celebration rally that gets underway at 6:30 tonight in Winston Park in downtown Winston-Salem. And we'll have much more on today's decisions from the Supreme Court coming up on WXII 12 News at 5:30 with Nicole Killian in Washington. And as always, you can get the latest information on WXII12.com. A 911 system upgrade is coming to Surry County. This after a request from Emergency Services Director John Shelton at the Surry County Board of Commissioners meeting. According to Shelton, the 911 telephone system was last upgraded in 2002 and the recording system was installed in 2005. 2 men are in jail tonight accused of kidnapping 2 men from their home and stealing thousands of dollars worth of electronics and a pistol. Police say Daniel Gatewood and Devin Baker broke into the home on Walton Court and took some of the items you see here, worth a total of $3,600. Officers say the suspects forced two people to drive them to the west side of town, where they got out of the car and ran away. Police later found Gatewood and Baker on Lee Street and took them into custody. They found the items stolen from a home on Walton Court and more property from a previous break-in. Right now, former New England Patriots football player Aaron Hernandez has been charged with murder. This after being taken out of his home this morning in handcuffs. Police have charged him in the murder of a 27-year-old whose body was found in an industrial park a mile from Hernandez's home. The victim's girlfriend and Hernandez's fiance are sisters. Following word of his arrest, the New England Patriots released Hernandez from the team. 145 people have been displaced because of a fire that damaged a North Carolina high-rise. That fire broke out just before midnight at the 11-story apartment building in Kinston. Fire investigators say it was sparked by some type of electrical malfunction in the electrical room of the Kinston Towers. No one was hurt, and the building currently has no power. A traffic alert tonight out of Surry County. That's where crews are doing blasting work and have closed a stretch of Highway 89 between Low Gap and the Virginia state line. This work starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow and continues until late 8 o'clock Friday night. A detour will be in place. A mass casualty exercise today in the Piedmont. Several law enforcement agencies participated in the event today at Randolph Community College. Organizers say they'll take what they've learned and make improvements accordingly.
It was time to do it. And we saw today that we need to do it again, and we need to work on a few things, a few kinks that we saw today that we'll try to work out in the next training.
Organizers say recent mass shootings have only enhanced their efforts to look at their procedures. Experience on the fire line coming up on WXII 12 News at 5. More on the opportunity these local kids have gotten over the last few days. Also, a Hollywood A-lister is looking for folks to be in his next film. We'll tell you where you can audition.
And coming up in a few minutes, I'll let you know which areas in the triad to avoid.
And we'll check in with Lainey for a backyard barbecue, which is actually inside because of the weather. You're watching WXII 12 News at 5.